Howdy doody. Streaming time. Hello, hello. To anyone who's here, can hear me or is checking this out. How's it going? Just getting things set here. Doo-doo-doo. Let's see. It's always an interesting thing starting the stream. I just haven't done it enough to be sure if it's working or not. So it is working. Okay, must get kind of tiring. Okay, hey, lots of folks here. Okay, must get kind of tiring. Like every time I start a stream, it's like there's like a 2-minute period of huh? But that's because I don't do it that much. Just like anything with music, with uh anything you're trying to learn, you gotta just do it. So hey everybody, today I wanted to do something kind of cool. I was talking to my friend the other day, and we found this. I took this off the shelf, and this is my notebook from when I was in Berklee. Um, it's the last like 2 years of Berklee, all the things that I thought I would want to save to see again someday. Um, and these are like things I basically don't remember what's in here. I've looked at the first couple of pages, but I thought it might be a cool thing for us to look at together, because I know a lot of people wonder, given how expensive Berklee is and just the cost to going to music school, I think people wonder like what you actually get there, what you actually learn, and that helps you decide if it's worth it or not. And yeah, my friend Nick Kruger, who is the person I was doing this with, is here. So what up, man? I took your advice. So yeah. Um, so this is just a random mush. I was super unorganized. Like, it's amazing that I even have a plastic binder. It's just a huge mush of topics that aren't very like separated by anything I can remember. And this was in 2011, 2010. I graduated when I graduated in 2011, and so this was just like my last 2 years of school. But the first thing I wanted to show you guys was this sheet that I found right away, and it's a list of new paradigms. It was given to me by my private teacher, David Tronzo, who is an incredible musician who focuses heavily on the intersection, at least it's my interpretation of his vibe, the intersection of improvisation and modern composition. And just that idea that improvising is just composing really fast, or composing is improvising really slow. That's I think about that mostly because of David Tronzo. He still teaches at Berklee. He's like, he's he's not like an old dude or anything. He's just gonna keep killing it. Oh yeah, what? There's a guy who wants to get banned. Man, uh, I'm not. I don't know what to do about that. I'm not. I'm just gonna ignore you. Sorry. But yeah, so so anyway, yeah, we would talk a lot about improvisation, and we would talk about ways to think about improvisation in a contemporary composition setting. And yeah, maybe I will ban him. Sorry, man. It's not my sense of humor, and I think it's detracting from the conversation. I just got to figure out how to do that. Let's see. Does anyone know how to ban someone? Never really had to, because mostly everyone's awesome. Let's see. Okay, I'm figuring it out here. All right. I deleted a message. Almost done. I'm all about free speech, and it's my right as a person who's running my channel to also implement my free speech as a business owner and not allow this person into my time. So let's see. How do I get rid of this person? And just a moment, guys, figuring this out. Okay. Should have done the trick. Oh no, not quite yet. All right. Great. Got it. So, David Tronzo. So he's a guy who always uses a slide, and that's a big part of why I use this slide ring, which allows me to use all my fingers like I normally would, but also be able to do some sliding stuff. And so, like, if I find my pick here, you can do things you normally wouldn't be able to do while your whole entire finger has a slide. Like chords like this one. Just to be able to combine them. That kind of thing. And Tronzo he's just kind of a master at slides. So anyway, I'm going to read these new paradigms to you. I think they're really interesting. Just a bunch of things that he's like basically saying. Here are things to think about while you're improvising. Here's things to think about when you're thinking of music on a fundamental level. This would be like a good first music lesson, things to just consider. So the first paradigm is all music is made of the same stuff. Okay, that's an interesting thing to think about because it sort of implies that genre in general is sort of a very light kind of seasoning on top of what music is. It's sort of it points you to flavors that you may or may not enjoy, but ultimately there are no like really clear lines between any approach to music because it's all made of the same stuff. And then the second paradigm is the stuff is primarily rhythms and pitches, which is like a obvious thing, but at the same time, it's the kind of thing that you can take for granted. And sometimes the most clear things, the most basic things, the most obvious things are the things we miss or pay the least attention to because they seem like a given. The third paradigm is that rhythms are the primary governing force in music. And the fourth paradigm is that melody is the secondary governing force in music. So to say that rhythm is essentially more important than melody in music, I think is a profound statement, something to consider. I think that rhythm is what makes melody what it is. It kind of, the rhythm of a melody is in many ways why you know the melody. For example, if I were to sing this melody, ba, 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 ba. If I were to do that, you'd hear this ambiguous, mushy melody. But if I were to go ba 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 ba, after you've heard that melody, you might put two and two together and say ba 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 ba, and suddenly the power of that melody, what really makes it what it is clearly it's at the very least an intersection of the rhythm and the actual pitches. But I think it's easier to say, oh, this is Beethoven's Fifth when you hear ba 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 than just the pitches if they were to be played totally out of time. So just this idea that rhythms are the primary governing force in music, I think is really interesting. Number 5, one possible result of combining rhythm and melody is harmony. So it's like this idea that harmony is just like sort of a coincidence of rhythm and melody, I think is also so cool because so much emphasis in music school is placed on learning harmony, and so much, through all different kinds of music schools, there's a huge emphasis on analyzing chords, and of course that's valuable and has informed my compositional sense, and everyone uses that stuff. But to think about chords as just intersecting melodies and rhythms, that's like, I guess, the sometimes side effect of multiple melodies intersecting at certain points is a really cool way to think about it. So like if you were to say a chord progression, this is really a good concept within voice leading. If you were to think of a chord progression as multiple intersecting melodies, to put it simply, if I were to take this melody Okay, and how about this melody? We'll do and intersect them by having them double at the same time. You're starting to hear harmony, but really harmony as the intersection of two melodic lines. And so we might find it hard to hear just solid blocks of chords in our imagination, in our head. But when you think about them as a stream of melodies, it's actually easier to visualize the motion of the harmony. Bum, bum, bum. And if I add a third line to that, let's see if I can do this on the fly. So what if we go? So we'll have and then F sharp. Okay, nice and slow. So we got what was the first one? Yeah, so and now we have these chords where we have a G, like a G6, and then we have F sharp, C, and a G. So we've got like a C, or like, yeah, I guess like kind of hard to say exactly what it is, but it's that sound. And then we have an E, D, or D sharp, F sharp, which just kind of evokes the feeling of E melodic minor. And thank you so much to Thomas Brulak for supporting me there. I really appreciate you too. Thank you so much, man. And so you end up with three chords that are really three intersecting melodies. So pretty cool. And so then the next thing on the list after that melody, the harmony is the result of combining rhythms and melodies, is that 6, improvisation in all its forms is found across all eras and cultures to be fundamental to both the playing of and the learning of music. So improvisation is like that idea that music is, oh, the sound kind of blacked. Oh, that sounded like Blackbird. Never mind. I thought the sound blacked out. All right, gotcha. So anyway, improvisation, you know how they say music's the universal language? Well, improvisation in all its forms is found across all eras and cultures to be fundamental to both the playing of and the learning of music, is a way of saying to me that improvisation is a universal language. And I think that it's it it's like a cliche to say that, and I think most people have heard that. But that feeling when you play with another person, that you're communicating on a pre-verbal level. You're appealing to something that is fundamentally, like, you are fundamentally connected to other people, because biologically we are so much more similar than any cultural difference can even begin to touch. And when you are playing music with somebody, you're hitting against physiological properties of how acoustics affect people, and things that are built into our biology, as well as our cultural preferences. But it turns out that you know no matter how little you know about somebody, when you are playing music with them, you're finding out so much, but also about something really distinct, special, and hard to put into words. So it really forges a relationship that's powerful. One of the reasons why I believe that spending so much time on music is not a waste of time is because so many of the like best uh, things in my life have, like, the things that I can hold on to beyond material stuff like money or whatever, but like my interpersonal relationships, my sense of like faith in humanity, that's come through the lens of music and improvising with people. And Tony Atkinson says, unless if they play microtonal scales that the West doesn't understand. See, I appreciate that point, that we do have our biases. Like, Western music is like a lot about diatonic harmony and stuff. But when you hear microtonal music performed, let's say in Turkish music, even if you are someone who's never really listened to Turkish music, the way that microtones are implemented in there, I think actually are very easy and tangible to enjoy. Like, I think when you're dealing with microtones and more like I guess things that are rare across cultures, when you're actually improvising with somebody and playing and they come up, it's usually in a context that you both arrived at, even if you yourself don't think about microtones. If they're really listening to you in an improv, they're using microtones in response to what you're doing and in relation to what you're doing. So I do feel like even with like elements of music that are culturally like like things that are more culturally Western and things that are more culturally Eastern on a stereotypical level, they still tend to line up when two people are actually playing together. But that's a theory I have because I've only been in situations where I'm playing with people in far off countries and cultures from the one I'm grown up in. I'm not in that situation nearly as much as I would love to be. And then number 7 on these 7 new paradigms is that music never requires any form of validation. And I think that one speaks for itself. Um, but I will say this: if you're wondering if it's worth it to play music, if you'll never be like your idea of a virtuoso at it, or even if you think your potential is somehow limited, it's still worth pursuing. All right, so back to the folder. I hope that was interesting. I hope you guys are having a good time here. Um, and just a few questions. I got Andrea Cleary asks, Ben, did you take ethnomusicology classes at Berklee? No, not directly, but some of my teachers were ethnomusicologists that were teaching theory or teaching ear training. So you do still hear from them, and you tend to get a bit of ethnomusicology in your life just naturally because like ethnomusicology and anthropology, the study of humans, dealing with humans. So all of us here, no matter who you are, you get exposed to that by being human. So this next page, actually, these are the pages that when Nick and I were talking about this, that kind of led us down this path of being like, okay, we should probably share this with people. Look at how dirty, look at how grimy. I was a messy boy. I still am, but like I only have theories as to what that stain is from. Um, we don't have to get into that, but I thought I'd point it out for fun. Anyway, these are 2 sheets from a class I took called The Art of Russian Modulation, and it's still a class at Berklee. It's taught by a professor named Ala Cohen, and she was trained in classical music and composition and piano in Russia. She was like very, 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 very good. I guess it's like a kind of understating it, but she moved here and teaches this class, The Art of Russian Modulation, among many other things that she does. She's a composer and a virtuoso, amazing pianist. And this class is all about moving from one key to another and all the different circumstances in which you might do so, and strategies for doing that within the context of how it was done in Russian music. So in Russian classical music, like Stravinsky stuff in the late 1800s as well. So I'm just going to read some of this so that you can kind of get an idea of what this was all about. Keep in mind, this was I think this and atonal solfege were the single hardest. They were the 2 hardest classes I had ever took at Berklee. So this might sound hard, and for me, it was very hard. Modulations to the keys of the 2nd degree of kinship. That's the topic here. Each key has 12 keys of the 2nd degree of kinship. The key from and the key to which we modulate should have at least one common triad. So the 2nd degree of kinship is when 2 keys share one chord, at least. For each given major, we have 8 other major keys plus 4 minor keys of the 2nd degree of kinship. These 8 major keys can be found following this simple rule. 4 of these keys are situated above the given major, ascending by half steps in the range of major third, and 4 more of the keys are below the given major, descending by half steps in the range of a major third. For example, For C major, we'll have the keys of D flat major, D major, E flat major, and E major from above, and B major, B flat major, A major, and A flat major from below. So it's defining what is meant by the second degree of kinship. Then four minor keys of the second degree of kinship for any given major are the following. You have two minor keys below the given major, descending by half steps in the range of major second. For example, for C major, we'll have B minor and B flat minor, plus two more keys, the key of minor dominant and parallel minor. For example, for C major, we'll have G minor and C minor. Pay attention, it says. The order of half steps when you seek for the keys of the second degree of kinship is always such: diatonic, chromatic, diatonic, chromatic. That means we, for example, cannot consider C sharp major the key of the second degree of kinship to C major because it is on the distance of chromatic half step from C major. And by rule, our first key has to be on the distance of diatonic half step. The reason for it is that the keys on the distance of chromatic half step don't have common triads. And for the kinship of the second degree, it is necessary to have at least one common triad between two keys. However, our next key is chromatic half step apart from the previous, D flat major to D major, for example. The reason for it is that it has to be a major second apart from the given major, that one from which we modulate, C major to D major. It shouldn't be a diminished third apart. All the keys of the distance of any diminished or augmented interval are of the third degree of kinship. Now, and we're talking about the second degree of kinship. Uh, so now it should be clear how we received E flat major and E major, applying the same principle as we applied to the previous pair. So there we go. We're creating a definition for what kinds of keys are considered second degree of kinship to a starting key. And in doing so, we've like sort of said that here are the ways you can find keys that share at least one triad with the key you're starting in. And then the rest of the sheet proceeds to explain ways to move to those keys. And to be honest with you, I don't remember or really understand this well enough to explain it much more than that. I did my best in this class, but this was definitely above my pay grade because I'm not incredibly well versed in classical voice leading techniques to the level that my peers were in that class. So what we would do for homework was we would have a key from which we're going and a key to which we're going. And we'd have to modulate from the starting key to the next key. And we would have to modulate within all of the classical voice leading rules. And then, we get to, so we follow all these voice leading rules, and then we get to the key we're going to through more rules that are expressed in the class. And in doing so, you get a really good feel for like some cool ways to get from point A to point B. And then, once you've got that down, you can, of course, be creative and mess with it, because you can be certain that Stravinsky wasn't, strictly doing things, according to any set of rules. Neither does the teacher of this class, but it just becomes a very useful launching point. So that's a pretty interesting couple of pages. I have a lot of stuff from that class in here, I think, because it was so hard and I thought I should revisit it later in my day. So let's see. So then, all right, so let's see. Here's some homework I had. Monday, February 4th, I think is what that's saying. Write 5 consequents to major and minor. Write 1 embellished parallel period. And then I just have a bunch of gibberish notes about, I think, violin stuff. I have like, this was definitely from my scoring to strings class, where we're just looking at like cool altered techniques, extended techniques, and different ways to notate for strings, but I don't have anything much I can express to you effectively on this stream. Let's see. I'm just gonna flip through until I find something that I think will heed a cohesive narrative of some sort. I've got some song lyrics. We limp down these streets with a hand covering our mouths, and our dreams would kill to wander free to the way it used to be. You sit in your room with your pen and your cigarette, and you help us to remember these melodies through the curtain to our core where we've never felt before. And don't forget our mother. This is about Dmitri Shostakovich, I think. And there's another mysterious stain. I've got the natural harmonics on a violin, which to me looks sort of like the overtone series at the beginning there, but of course it changes a little. Let's see. Maybe I'll take a few questions in the meantime. Does anyone know about classical music composition? Help you if you're interested in other genres. Oh yes, yeah. The classical music composition helps with other genres because it gives you an ear for how to make different voices in a chord. Well, it gives you a lot of insight on how to move between chords so that you get the most out of the notes in those chords, and then can further apply them to multiple instruments of any kind, any genre. So in other words, let's say you have a cool chord progression that you really like. There are many ways for the notes in one chord to move to another, and classical theory gives you a really nice starting point for just different creative options and different parameters that you can use to move between those chords, and then you can apply them to all kinds of different instruments. And here I got a question. Hey, Ben, do you have any comments or advice on non-US people trying to get visas to pursue music in the US after running out of college visa? Well, the artist visa is a real pain in the ass, and it's sad to me that like this week I put out a video interviewing Aurelien Bodyneck, and he's from France originally, and he's had to renew artist visas every 3 years or so since he graduated from Berklee, and he's been playing on Broadway and doing all these like incredibly badass things in music, but he has to keep renewing his visa. He has managed to keep renewing his visa, so I would say you have to do an artist visa after college. I recommend making sure you have a good amount of artistic related activities that you can put on your application, because it definitely seems to be helpful to people to have to be very busy in the arts to get your artist visa. But I don't know very much about that. That actually might be a cool topic for a video. It's like advice on getting an artist visa from people who've gotten them, because I know so many artists from other countries who moved here and live here now, and they've lived here for a long time, and they've been doing the artist visa thing a lot. So that's a really good question though. But yeah, I'd say I've just seen a lot of people do it. So my thought is that, you would be able to figure it out if you were a student here. Like there'd be resources, there'd be people who could give you good advice, particularly at your school. That would be my guess. And yeah, I wish that it was a lot easier for people. Here's a page I'd like to talk about for sure. This is some from my Indian rhythmic solfege class taught by Bruno Rayberg. It's a cool kind of duet you can do with yourself. The X's are a clap pattern. Like think about each thing as like an eighth note. It's da 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 da, and then it goes to the next line, da 2 3 4 5. So the clap pattern is da 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 1 2 3 4 5, and then the verbal pattern, the solfege pattern on top, doom doom tarikitaka doom doom ta, tarikitaka doom doom tarikitaka doom doom ta, tarikitaka right there. Tadiki taka, tadiki taka. All right. So now if I clap and sing it together, doom doom tadiki taka doom doom ta tadiki taka doom doom tadiki taka doom doom ta tadiki taka doom doom tadiki taka doom doom ta tadiki taka doom. Oops, threw it off. Now, a cool thing about this is that when it loops, you add taka to the beginning of your doom doom stuff. So the whole thing gets displaced by 2/16. So 1/8. So it's like this. Doom doom tariki taka doom doom ta. Tariki taka doom doom tariki taka doom doom ta. Tariki taka taka doom doom tariki taka doom doom ta. Tariki taka doom doom tariki taka doom doom ta. Tariki doom doom tariki taka doom. See how it got displaced there? I think that's pretty cool. This is by a guy named Triki Sankaran. I'm gonna write this down because this guy's music is really interesting and really awesome, and he's like this the Indian rhythmic solfege master. He's got an awesome book. Uh, it's Triki with an H. So check out this guy's book if you're really interested in Indian rhythmic solfege. Um, he's sort of the guy that my professor was the most, I think, the most influenced by. And yeah, it's supposed to be a great book, although I don't personally have it. Um, so I have a note here that says, Steve from Boston, why are school supplies such a challenge? I don't know what the heck that's supposed to mean. Um, oh, here's the range of each string on a cello. That's a useful thing to have written down. It's for the low C string. So it's C, G. This is bass clef C, G, D, A. The C string goes up to G. I think this is like on the fingerboard range. I'm not sure. Um, the G goes up to F. Then you have a D that goes all the way up to treble clef G. And then you have the A that goes all the way up to treble clef A. And then I have this high C there, or high E there, which I don't know why it's there. Maybe this is like the easy range. I don't know. Maybe someone in the chat knows more about cello and can help with that. Let's see. Yeah, scoring for strings. Cool class. I wish I had retained more of it. A lot of these things I like forgot, and then like whatever bits I really ended up using, I got pretty good at. But then there's like a lot of stuff that I just haven't ended up using yet that I would need to go and review. Can you give me examples of spacey/dreamy chords? Uh, just make a chord that's mostly out of fourths and fifths, ninths. If you avoid your thirds, you'll get some spacey stuff. Um, so let's see. Epic 7. Hey Ben, when tuning the guitar, there is always a very subtle difference. Even if I use digital tuners, my ears and piano simultaneously. The struggle is rare. Real, what's your take when recording? Yeah, well, tuning's tricky because the guitar is out of tune, like fundamentally. Um, Equal temperament's out of tune. The guitar's out of tune. Thank you, Tony. Appreciate you. I'm gonna answer that in just a second. And yeah, so if you are tuning to the piano, you're going to be out of tune, but you'll be out of tune with the piano being out of tune. So, but if you really tune to the piano, you'll probably be out of tune with your own neck because like as you go up the neck, the tuning changes a bit. So the best thing is you want to just tune to a tuner and then make slight adjustments to the piano if the piano isn't in tune. But if the piano is in tune, you'll probably have your best bet with a tuner. But I still think generally tuning with an electronic tuner is the safest. You don't need to be too anal about it. I think the safest bet is tune with an electronic tuner. And then some guitars are easier to tune than others. Of course, it's very hard to tune Floyd Rose guitar, like my Gem, for example. Um, Yeah, so do you know someone that has developed his relative pitch to a level, or you think he has absolute pitch? In other words, who impressed you the most with relative pitch? Yeah, let me think about that. Yeah, my atonal solfege teacher, he's passed away, but he would whistle any note anytime relative to anything, and a lot of the ear training teachers at Berklee had relative pitch and were just out of this world. Their ability to recognize chords and stuff. Um, uh, yeah. So I run into some people who have just like larger than life relative pitch, and I think that's an attainable goal, or you just can't even tell that they don't have perfect pitch. Actually, the this flute player named Genny Skendo, when it comes to melody, he just always knows what the notes are. You just play, and he's like, doo, 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 and he just can do it. And I think it helps that he plays an instrument that's not harmonic, so melody is like his main ear training focus so hard that like it's just in him, it's in his fingers, it's in his mind. He never loses it. But so let's keep looking at what we have here. Uh, so I've got a whole bunch of blank stuff, blank paper. Nice, good. I'll use it later. Let's see. This looks like it's maybe going to be interesting. Um, oh yeah, this looks like uh, confusing though. Yeah, I don't remember. I remember this. Oh, okay. Yeah, this is from my teacher, Bruce Bartlett. He's really, really heavy dude, really cool. He says, follow the yellow brick chord road. And I don't know, I don't remember. I remember this being a good lesson, but I don't remember what that was. Um, let's see. Let's see. Uh, Oh yeah. 24 permutations. Okay. This is a concept more than an interesting sheet of music or anything. This is a concept to take any set of notes and permutate it as many times as you can. So this is particularly the pentatonic scale written here. C, D, E. Yeah, let's see, get C, D, E. Wait, no, it's C, D, E, G, B. So it's 1, 2, 3, 5, 7. And it's like uh, you pick a chord. So major 7 would be C, D, E, G, B, or minor 7 would be C, D, E flat, G, B flat, and you do 24 permutations of it. So in this case, with major 7, it's C, D, E, G, B, C, D, E, B, G, C, D, B, G, E, C, D, B, E, G, C, D, uh, G, E, B, C, D, G, B, E, and you just go on and on and on permutating it, and then you learn to shred that, and that's pretty cool. Um, yeah, they basically, if you learn to shred 24 permutations of anything like that, or just as many permutations as you can come up with, um, it it basically makes it so that you start hearing ideas and then being able to actually play them. Uh, yeah. So funny thing about this embrace failure thing is it actually says embrace failure. It's got a typo, um, which I think is really profound. It's made by John Kilduff. He's got a YouTube channel called Let's Paint TV, and he does this thing where he runs on a treadmill. He blends drinks while he's painting and exercising, and it's all about uh, doing your best. Yeah, I checked C on the guitar. That's why it was actually C. But yeah, so let's keep going. So yeah, learning a bunch of permutations really frees up your hands, helps you make that link between what you're hearing and what you're playing, and not have to worry about where your fingers are going. What music is this? This looks like something. It brings back good memories, but I don't remember what it is. Um, let's see. I'll just try playing it a little. Don't have your expectations too high. I'm not a great reader. Um, let's see. Oh yes, This is, I know I have good memories about this. So with my private teacher, David Tronzo, he would give me like, I don't remember how long he gave me, but a very short amount of time to learn this. And knowing that I'm not a good sight reader, he would give me like a really, really short amount of time to learn this. And then we'd have to play it together as a duet and improvise wherever memory faltered, wherever I wasn't sure what to do. I'd have to improvise and then try to get back on the page a bit. And it's about like still being a musician, even when you're on the page and you get messed up, not just turning off your musical brain and going into where am I mode, but like just opening up even more and being like listening to everything that's possible, everything that's happening, and still making good music in that time. That's a really cool improv exercise. I strongly recommend it. Take a sheet of music that you feel like is too hard for you to read, and then try to learn it way faster than you actually can, and then improvise the general idea of it whenever you get lost, which might be the whole time. Depends, but that's a cool exercise, especially when you do it with someone else, and especially if they're not struggling to read, because then it's, you got something to lean on too. Yeah, this looks to me like more permutations. Yeah, some lines. Sometimes they just give you lines, your teachers. It's like, learn these lines, and they turn out to be pretty cool. And it's just a bunch of lines. You can write these yourself pretty easy. And then learn them. And that's just good homework right there. When people just give you something to just like give you something to learn in this week, that's it. I mean, that's just like a good way to get better at an instrument. It's so simple, but just learn some music, learn some lines, learn some stuff, get it in your fingers. I know that's like kind of an obvious thing. Oh yeah, this was fill a page with music in, I think it was 2 minutes, and you try to fill it with you fill it as fast as you can. Maybe it was 1 minute, and you end up getting just like mostly the stems or something is missing, but then you actually learn what you wrote. And by learning what you wrote when you were writing that fast, you learn about your unconscious habits as a writer. You learn about the way that you just tend to think about shape and form and what's useful. So yeah, that's more Tronzo stuff. Tronzo's amazing. And that was the number 2. This was number 1 from that day. And just, you can see, like, by the time I did number 2, I had a lot more stems. I was just writing too slow here. And I was, I got the stems going, so not bad. Cool. So let's see. Always writing songs. Do 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 do. What do you think of this? This do 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 do. There you go. Yeah. Do 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 do. How about it? Do do do. It might be good if I go do 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 do. Haha, people will recognize this wonderful slippery thing. I actually played with Guthrie Govan while I was in school. He came and visited my class. We had a jam and we played his song, this one, and yeah, it was an amazing memory. Because the thing about watching Guthrie Govan play live is you cannot escape the fact that he's just nailing it so perfectly, and it's so musical and beautiful. And when you see things on a YouTube video, there's always this like kind of intuition that it was like a good take. Maybe this was just like a special take. But then you see him live, and then everything's a good take all the time. It's just so inspiring that someone can be that good. Makes you cry. This is page 2. Wonderful slippery thing. Very nice looking chart, I'd say. Makes it look learnable. What is this? We got some Russian thing. Oh, it's Petrushka. We had to learn to conduct Petrushka by Igor Stravinsky. And I was bad at that. I was real bad at that. I'd have to go to my teacher's office hours a lot just to like sort of stay afloat in that class. Um, and conducting is, I mean, maybe I'd be better at it now, but like back then I wasn't that good at it. There's a lot of really interesting stuff in this score. Like, I mean, this might be obvious for a bunch of you who know more about this than me, but just like the fact that he's got these two notes that you're just supposed to tremolo between them. That's really cool. Just as a texture to put a melody like this over. So it's like that kind of stuff over a kind of flurry of harmonic back and forth notes. It's a really cool compositional thing to do, to just take mush and then put a really cutting high melody over mush. Love that. So this is from my South Indian rhythmic solfege class again. This is it says the 4 most common talas in South Indian music. And so a tala is sort of like a meter, and it's like you clap using your hands and fingers. So like 4 would be 1, 2. Yeah, this would be Adi Tala, which would be 8 beats total. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And when you have when you count this way, it really helps you keep track of where you are in the measure. If I just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then start singing or rapping or even playing, it's or doing Indian rhythmic solfege, doom da doom da doom, but seka boom boom. Yeah, well that was beatboxing, but like taki ta doom, tadinginatum, taki ta doom, tadinginatum, takadimi, takadimi tum. It's really, you can't rely on yourself to go 1, 2, 3, 4, but clapping this way helps you really keep track of where you are. Okay, this is beat 2, 2, 3 is there, 4 is with my index finger, and then there's the up down part. So that's a cool tala. Then we have Rupakam, which is, well, it's 3. I think this is what it is. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And then Kanda Chapu is 1, 2, 3. This is a 5. I think I'm doing it right. This is stuff I don't remember that well, but it's amazing. It's amazing learning this Indian rhythmic solfege stuff. So if you check out that guy's book that I linked to, Triki Sankaran, and I think I just saw some more stuff by Triki in here. Let me see if I can pull that up. Well, this looks interesting. All right, I'm gonna look at that in a second. All right, now this is a cool one. This is saying solfege exercise for doubling the 4 group in Adi Tal. This is by Bruno Rayberg, who's the teacher there, who teaches that. Is common to use the kita taka tari kita. So tari is spelled T-A-R-I, but I say tadi because it's easier when you're going fast for me. Kita taka tari kita when doubling a group of 4 into 8. When notated, the group is most often written as KTTK TRKT. So kita taka tari kita. And that's really good for shredding, like kita taka tari kita. So here are the exercises. Kita, 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 taka, 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 tari, 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 kita, 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 taka, 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 tari, 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 kita, kita, kita. So that's 3, then kita, kita, taka, taka. And then it goes tari, tari, kita, 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 kita takatari kita 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 tum. So let me see if I can do this. Kita 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 taka 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 tari 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 kita 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 taka 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 tari 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 kita 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 taka taka tari tari kita 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 taka tari 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 kita tum. It's a little draggy at the end. But that's pretty cool. Let's see. Julian Doe is saying dyslexia and 144p is not a great thing. I'm sorry, man. So let me see. Oh yeah, here's some more from Chiki Sankaran. All right, so it's let's see which one this is if I can remember. Boom, ba bum 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 ba bum bum ba bum ba bum. Oh no, I don't remember this well enough. I don't think. This is like a composition. That what is it? Yeah, I don't remember this well enough to demonstrate it, but it was something you're supposed to play on an instrument. So well, maybe I'll read it. Okay, so let's see the top line. Yeah, I don't think this is gonna be that interesting if I play it by myself because it's a duet. All right, next thing. Keeping it moving. I'm glad you're all here. It's really nice to be able to share this with you. I hope it's been fun so far. Let's see. Okay. Thank you. All right. Advice on learning to read sheet music. I recommend this book called Melodic Rhythms by William Levitt. That book helped me a lot with reading, and it starts from reading rhythms and then it adds pitches. And I would just spend like weeks on one page, just rather than focusing on sight reading, focus on slow reading, which is just when you go piece by piece, get it together, figure out, like just figure out what's there, and you get faster and faster at that. And then you can work specifically on sight reading, which is a different skill that I think is a little bit less important than just slow reading, which is like, that opens up the world of learning written music, which is great. Sight reading is really good for like mercenary situations, which you might want to do that. It can be cool. Okay, I'm gonna keep this moving. There's a lot of pages in here. We got those permutations, chromatic approach notes. Oh yeah, going through. This is just basically saying, get used to doing each of these chromatic approach notes for any given tone. So C, this is D flat to C, then D, D flat C, then D, D flat B, C. I'll just play it a bit, and you're supposed to get really comfortable on any given note approaching them this way. So like, let's say you're playing a C, and you go, and then, and then, and then, and then, oh. I think maybe I'm reading something wrong, but you just then you can take an arpeggio, like let's say, and you use one of these chromatic approaches for each note. Or that would be going through 1, 3, 5, 7, 1 with a chromatic approach to each note. And then if you do, let's say, the 2 above, you do. And you get used to that, and you can start, you can imagine how cool it can get if any chord you're playing over, you can add, that kind of approach to any of those chord tones. Definitely, there's so much stuff, as you can tell, and it's not like you learn all of it at Berklee. It's just you get a whole bunch of things to consider for your lifelong learning, which is really helpful. And Monkey Island asks, where do you find the energy to keep learning and practicing all this? Well, you don't. You can't. There's too much stuff, and so you just go with your heart. Like see what stuff is. It's either what's exciting you the most, or what you feel like you really need to. It's either what's exciting you the most, or what you really think is like important for you to achieve some certain goal. So if you're really excited about Indian rhythmic solfege like I am, you might want to spend more time with it. But maybe you're excited about it because it helps you achieve a specific goal, and then maybe you'd want to focus on Indian rhythmic solfege just up till it helps you achieve that goal, and then go somewhere else. But you definitely can't learn all of this. I haven't like mastered most of this. I haven't barely mastered most of this. It's just, I know it's out there and it informs my future learning, but we're all just on this never ending path of music, and there's just so much stuff. The idea of trying to learn it all is sort of a recipe for depression. The better thing to do is to think about like what you enjoy about the process and what you enjoy about music in general, and find the stuff that makes you as invested in the process as possible. So like the stuff that makes you want to keep doing it, and sometimes that means like doing something you don't actually enjoy that much, but because it's something you don't enjoy that much, but it helps you achieve it helps you achieve a goal that allows you to do a process that you really do enjoy. Like for me, I want to animate my music videos and stuff, but I don't really enjoy drawing the same thing over and over again. But I really do enjoy the process of thinking of a music video and seeing it come to life and working on it, even though I don't enjoy the specific step of over and over again tracing. So this is some piece called Pitbull. I don't remember the context of this, but this might have been another thing I did with Tronso, where we learn it as quickly as possible. I got the full score for another Stravinsky thing here. Some conducting class stuff. I tried not to throw away my full scores because I like listening to music with a score. All right, so here are 99 tetrachords, the 99 tetrachords matrix for advanced modal ear training. Let me try to remember this. So 99 tetrachords. Well, I know you're supposed to be able to sing all these. Do, re, mi, fa. Do, re, mi, fi. All right. Do, re, mi, fa. Do, re, mi, fi. Do, re, me, fa. Do, re, me. Do, re, me, fi. Me, fi. Yeah. Do, re, me, fi. There it is. Do, re, me, fi. Do, re, do, re, do, re, mi, do, re, mi. Yeah, right, because it's minor third. Do, re, mi. Oh man, I'm not warmed up right now, but the truth is that there's a lot of stuff I'm not good at, and for me to try to pretend that I'm just gonna nail this, or if I don't nail it, it's just because I'm not warmed up, I think it teaches a bad message, because we all have this experience where you're trying to perform something, you're like, I know I can do this, but once other people are around, it just doesn't come out right. And that's just normal, and there's no reason to feel bad about that. Maybe I'll go work on this. That would be a really productive thing to do, is just make sure I can sing through these, because ultimately what this is it's me singing musical combinations that could totally end up in my songs. They could totally end up, they should be in my vocal muscle memory. So they're useful to me. It's worth taking the time. Um, but it's also important not to feel too much pride or too much shame about how it's going, because that's just too much focus on yourself and not enough about the subject matter. But that's a pretty thorough go through of this immense unorganized book. Maybe I'll look at it again someday. I mean, I've got a lot of other things that I'm focusing on um, at this time, but this has kind of gotten me interested in some things that I had forgotten about. But yeah, like whether you go to music school or not, if you're really interested in studying music, you should never not study music. Like it's not something that you have to really ever not do, because there's always a way to fit 10 minutes of time to yourself, or work on it, keeping a practice journal or writing a little bit each day, or there's always something that can fit into anyone's life within reason. Like once you're past the point of starving, and I'm not saying that lightly, because there are people, of course, who are just trying to survive. But once you're past the point of just your immediate survival, there's seems to always be a way to find some time for music. Now I'm gonna just look through and see if I can grab just a couple questions. So let's see. Have you had any experience with street performing? Just a little, just mostly so I could have more money for food when I ran out at certain points, but not like not like professionally. I'm not like, there are people who are just so good at it and they get the permits and everything. I just kind of showed up and started like shredding when I was 15 and hoping for the best. Um, so not really. PogChamp, Ben, do you know any electronic genres of music that go hard on melody and harmony in the same way acoustic musicians do? I'm sure there must be some, and I just can't find them. Oh, that's a good question, because rhythm is such a central force. Yes. Let me just think for a second. Because yeah, there's um. Well, this isn't my favorite example because I feel like the album's a little too long. But "Enjoy Your Rabbit" by Sufjan Stevens has really cool harmony, and it's an electronic album. But there's a lot. The answer to your question is definitely, but I'm just trying to wrap my head around it. It's really because yeah, electronic music really focuses a lot on rhythm and timbre. Um, there's Sun Lux. I feel like the harmony in his music is cool. Um, yeah, uh, that's I'm kind of blanking right now. Let's see. Okay, so Samurai Dude. Hi Ben, I've got a composition degree and decided to get another in music. I'm a guitarist and looking to improve as a songwriter. Are performance degrees well rounded, or should I study classical composition? I like performance degree. That's what I did. You can study composition through your instrument. You can study composition away from your instrument and bring it to your instrument. Working on performance and working on performing people's music and getting a good repertoire definitely helps with composition. It helps with a good, well-rounded look. But with music school, it's all up to you to go and do extracurriculars and go out of your way to absorb as much information as you can and actually apply what you're doing in class. People say, "Oh, I went to music school for a year and I can't apply any of it." Well, they're not going to hand that to you. You actually have to like go and be like, "Oh, I have a composition assignment, or I have like a music theory assignment." Instead of being like, "I have to get this out of the way so I can go and do something else," say like, "How can I turn this set of rules in this composition assignment into a piece I would want on an album," and actually just try to make cool music out of it. Or if you're in performance, be like, "All right, so I'm learning these counterpoint things. Can I play them? And now that I've played them, can I write something using it?" I mean, music school is one of the times where you actually have time to go and do that. So I would say a performance degree is great, just as long as you don't limit yourself to just your instrument, but try to take everything in through the lens of your instrument. Um, so let's see. Um, Hey Ben, what would you say is the best advice slash skill you got from your time at Berklee? I think, well, I always end up with a different answer, but like one really good piece of advice is when you have an idea, sometimes when you're playing with other people and you have an idea, sometimes just don't do it and see what happens instead, and start getting in a habit of like considering the option when you're improvising, especially of like taking the idea that you have and just sort of letting the first idea pass and letting a second idea in. And sometimes people will surprise you with what they did, and you'll learn from that, and it will actually be a more communal improv, and more cool stuff will happen. And in your silence of not doing your idea, you will get a second idea that might be more creative. So just that idea of buffering ideas sometimes. Generally, you play what you think, but sometimes you're just thinking too much and playing too much, and it's good to just take the idea and be like, maybe not. Um, uh, Unwill Music, do you mind if you can explain your improvisation approach? Because I'm less about free improvisation and rather play very structured as dictated by the harmony. Yeah, I think, to some extent I'm always thinking about harmony even when I'm going atonal, which sounds like a paradox, but harmony is, like we were saying earlier, the intersection of different melodies through time. And when you're playing totally atonally at a moment, you're still creating harmony that wants to go somewhere. And maybe it goes darker and darker, but eventually bringing it to the light is helpful. So knowing a strict tonal structure is a good framework for how to go back. When you enter the darkness of atonality, how to take it back to the brightness of tonality. So the fact that you are used to playing in a tonal context is very useful for a free context. It's just you have to be able to find the patterns within the atonality. If you make a bunch of blobs on a piece of paper, you will probably still see eventually some patterns and be able to realize an image such as like a face, that's very common, or a tree, or a cloud. You'll find meaning, you'll find patterns in the chaos, and you want to look for those patterns in atonal moments or in free moments, and start to make those patterns stuff that other people can notice. So you'll notice the pattern, and then you can play things to reinforce that pattern, and as a result, get the listeners and the other band members to hear what you're hearing in the abyss. Start seeing that your light. Um, so I would say use your tonal structure, and also see if you can find structure in the lack of tonality. Hey Ben, do you have any? Oh, yeah, I already answered that one about artist pieces. Yeah, that's a good question. Let's see. Um, Okay. Kevin Amaya asks, I'm just a software developer wondering if I should continue learning music because I may never get the opportunity to communicate very well with it. Oh yeah, well, there's a lot to be said about communicating with yourself. Even if it's just you realizing thoughts into sound, or making sound and then thinking about them. Spending time with your thoughts will help you understand yourself better in different ways. Music's just one of the ways that you can sort of understand yourself a little better. And understanding yourself is useful, I think, for empathizing with other people. Even if you're playing alone, you see someone play a cool thing. You know, go to a concert, see someone playing, and you start to be able to feel what they're feeling, and you connect with the other audience members. So there's a certain unavoidable communication built into music. Even if you're playing alone, there's still communication skills being built. You're taking some, if you learn someone else's piece of music, for example, you could be totally alone, but you're learning someone else's composition and entering their mental space in a way. So it, it's not a totally isolated thing. So no matter how you're engaging with music, it's almost unavoidable to do to be communicating. um so I think that's all for today. I really, you know, it really is a dream come true to be able to have, you know, just to be able to have an audience to like talk to about music that then goes, you guys go and make music. I've heard, a bunch of your music, through the public domain solo thing, and just through like, kind of trolling around looking at what people are up to. And I think that being part of music in any capacity is like a real it's like a real way to take the pressure off of me figuring out why I'm here, and just kind of be like, well, music's really cool and it's easy to just enjoy. So being able to share music with all of you, and know that that's going to result in more music for people, it's really it's like why I would do live streams, which are kind of you never know what's going to happen. It's kind of scary. Like right before the live stream, I'm always like, okay, here we go. I'm not going to see anyone's face, but I'm potentially talking to 1,000 people. um, so uh, so thank you for everyone with all your questions and just being part of this and making me feel good. And I hope I'm helping you feel good, and hope you have a really exciting musical day full of uh, surprises, and then not surprises. I don't know. Just hope it's good. See you next time. Bye bye.